Welcome to another edition of Green is Good, and this is the Hollywood Goes Green is Good edition with my friend and partner, Debbie Levin, who is the executive director of Emma. President of Emma. 10 years, we are...
15.
No, 10 years you and I are working together.
We are.
And we're in Los Angeles at the beautiful SLS Hotel today. So we're doing a whole edition with Debbie Levin today as the co-host of Green is Good, which is really an honor and really going to be fun today. And our first guest, back for a second turn, is Leslie Durso today, the vegan chef. She's based here in LA, so we asked her to come in, and thank you for joining us at Green is Good today.
Thank you for having me here.
So, you know, Leslie, for our listeners and our viewers who haven't had a chance to see you before, why don't you talk a little bit about yourself first? Talk a little bit about the Leslie Durso journey and how you became a vegan chef and what inspired you to become a cook.
That's a long story. It's radio, so I'll pare it down. I have been obsessed with food ever since I was a little kid, and I stopped eating meat at 8 years old in a huge Italian meat eating family, which was quite the drama to start my life. And it was always something that I was very, very conscious of. I always loved eating healthy, and it was a big part of my life. As I got older, I went into the modeling industry, and I found that I was a vegetarian, and I ate really healthy food, and so I was able to stay the size I needed to be naturally, where a lot of people were struggling with it. And then I moved into the acting world, same thing, and I kept cooking, and food kept being a huge part of my life. And it was co-hosting an environmental science show with Bill Nye the Science Guy called Stuff Happens. I used to be Leslie the Lab Girl.
That's so funny. Yeah. That is hysterical.
Yeah, but that's what got me into the science of food. And Bill was very encouraging to have me explore my passions of food like he explored his passions of science. So when that show got canceled, I said, that's it. I'm becoming a chef, and food is going to be my jam for the rest of my life.
I have a question about your family. So you have this big Italian family,
Huge.
big meat-eating Italian family.
Yes.
Has anyone sort of come over to the...
Yeah. You know, I haven't pressured anybody. It's just about making really good food, and they're always my taste testers. So if I make a recipe, it has to go through my family to know that it's a really good recipe for the masses. But I have a huge family. When I say huge, Saturday we're getting together for my grandpa's birthday, and there 100 people RSVP.
Oh my God.
There will be 100 people at my
huge
grandpa's
is
birthday.
not like a big
Huge
family, like
is
25
not,
people. It's like crazy huge.
Like 25 people is the immediate family.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, I am surprised. I have an uncle who's now vegan, who's actually a surgeon too, which is interesting that he decided to go
What?
vegan.
Wait, was he inspired by you?
He was, and I've got a couple cousins now that are vegetarians, and so it's really interesting. They'll all call and be like, okay, I'm going to try this. And I'm like, okay, here's all the information that I give people, and here's, my website, and here's some encouraging.
So how many years ago did this journey start? When did you start cooking, actually?
You know, being an Italian, food is obviously a major part of our lives. I mean, every single day we sat down at the dinner table at 6 p.m. for dinner. You could not miss it or be late. And so I got in the kitchen really early with my mom and my grandmother and my great-grandmother, and we grew a lot of our own food. So we were out in the garden a lot, and we made everything from scratch. And that's the foundation of my food philosophy, is eating real food and cutting out the processed foods in your life. And that all started with my family, because that's the way that we ate. And so, I mean, I remember being like 5 or 6 years old, standing on a chair, rolling out pasta and pizza doughs with my great-grandmother. Some of the best memories I have.
Is almost everything you learned as a child and everything you ate, can you veganize it now?
Yes, I love veganizing. So that's such a huge part of what I do now, is travel around the world, finding all of these food cultures and veganizing the food and bringing back flavors and cooking techniques to the U.S. and figuring out how I can tweak it a little bit to make it accessible to people in my world.
Do you feel that there's sort of a real opening for that great vegan chef in terms of identifying yourself as, because I think that there's a lot of vegan restaurants in town and there's a lot of vegans, but I don't know that there is that, oh my God, this is the vegan chef that does the most amazing food. I don't care what it is. It's just yummy and fantastic.
Oh, well, I would love it if that was me. But there are some really, really great vegan chefs out there. I think what sets me slightly apart is that I really don't cater to the vegan world. I love the vegan world, and I'm in the vegan world. But I was the first vegan chef to do a food and wine festival, and I'm really trying to take the vegan message and my style of eating into the mainstream world. And it's been really well received so far, because I don't preach at people. You know, food is a personal choice. I don't believe in telling people what to do. I believe in educating people on where their food is coming from.
Do you want restaurants? Do you want to be a celebrity chef on TV?
Right.
I have no desire to have a restaurant.
You don't?
No.
Why? Isn't that like the
They
chef
are
dream?
fantastic,
Exactly.
but you know, I love consulting for restaurants, which I do very often. I will come in and design vegan menus for regular restaurants, and I'll even consult on vegan restaurants. But to have my own, I mean, I think it'd be cool, but I love educating. I like being out there with the people. I love doing all the festivals and the tours and the classes and the speaking engagements. I'm an educator for Whole Foods, so I'm always giving classes everywhere. And that's my passion. That's what I really love. And so I could sit inside a restaurant and charge people outrageous amounts of money for really crazy, beautiful food, or I could be out there teaching them how to do it for themselves.
For our listeners who just joined us, we've got Leslie Durso with us, and you can find Leslie at lesliedurso.com.
Yes, I was very original when I came up with my website.
And what's your business model, though? Like, if you don't want to be the next Wolfgang Puck of vegan restaurants, what's the real business model? What's your goal in terms of the journey here?
Well, it is education. It's a lot of
Okay.
education. But then on top of that, I mean, I do have another TV show in development in the works at the moment, which I wish I could talk a little bit more about. But if this radio interview was 2 weeks from now, I would be able to tell you
Well,
a
you're
lot
going to come
more.
back on and
We'll do a follow-up
Yeah,
on it.
once
But
you
it's
have the
very,
show
very
going.
exciting, and I'm thrilled about it. It's super, super cool.
Cool. So TV and education is really
Yeah, I mean, TV's my background. Before I was doing the Bill Nye Show, I was on a soap opera for many years, and I've always been an entertainer and loved entertaining. So I just feel like that's my natural.
Were you the evil
path.
person on the soap opera, or the nice person on the soap
I
opera?
Or
was
the
both.
chef.
Or the chef?
But you know what's funny? I played a waitress in a restaurant. The soap revolved around a restaurant, and I was the waitress, and it was so funny because I had been a chef in a restaurant before, but I'd never had to be a waitress, and carrying all of those trays is crazy. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
I mean, they'd be like, here's 5 glasses of wine on a tray. Go carry them across the room, and I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna drop these.
Besides education, though, people can hire you to cater for them here in the Los Angeles region, right?
Yes, absolutely. I still do some catering. I do a lot more consulting. I'm doing the Humane Society event that's coming up May 16th at the Beverly Wilshire. There's more information on their
And
site.
that's really big.
Yeah,
like a
it's
lot of people.
huge.
It's a big
huge
event.
gala. We'll have about 600 people there.
And you're the head chef for the whole
I
thing.
designed the menu for the entire thing and did all of the recipes, and the hotel will execute it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love doing stuff.
And if
like
people
that.
want you to just do a private dinner at their home, you can do the same thing.
Yeah, you can do that. I do private lessons. I do group classes. I do.
Now,
all
were
sorts
you
of things.
trained?
I was trained by my grandma.
So
Wow.
you didn't go to culinary school?
You know,
and-
I didn't, because when I decided to become a chef, I was already a vegan, and at the time there were no vegan culinary schools. There was one in England, but it was a 3-year program, and I was like, I don't have 3 years to take time out. So I just started learning, and that's where the international traveling really started too, where every country I would go to, I travel a lot. Every country I would go to, I would meet up with chefs there, non-vegan chefs, regular meat chefs, and I would see what they were doing. I'd see what they were using. I would see the techniques that they were doing, and I'd just get in there and I'd figure it out, and I'd figure out how I can apply that to vegetables and get creative and veganize stuff, and I love it.
You know, there's so many myths around being a vegan. I mean, is it hard for our listeners out there to switch their lifestyle a little bit and veganize a lot of what they're already doing in terms of their daily diets?
No, it's actually very easy. And especially in this day and age, it's really easy. I mean, when I stopped eating meat at 8 years old, it was like, there were no vegan restaurants. There were no vegetarian restaurants. Nobody really even knew what that really meant. It was just a bunch of hippies with dreadlocks, you know, wearing tie-dye and Birkenstocks.
Right.
So we're really lucky in this day and age. There's so many amazing companies out there making vegan products, and so many naturally vegan products. But it's real. What's really, I'm going to drive home again, is it's eating real food. It's not eating all these processed packaged foods, and that's easy for anyone to do. And whether you want to go full-blown vegan, you want to go vegetarian, or you just want to eat, 3 less meat meals a week. It's really about connecting with where your food is coming from and finding the balance for yourself.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the worst myths. I mean, people say, well, I don't want to be a vegan because there's not enough protein.
Oh gosh, protein.
I
love that question.
Can you demystify that?
Yeah,
that a little
absolutely. First, we don't need nearly as much protein as the government's been telling us in the food pyramid.
They
for
keep
so
changing
long.
that food pyramid.
They keep changing that food pyramid. The other thing is there's protein in so many vegetables. I mean, there's protein in most vegetables.
There's protein in quinoa, which
but
is
there's
not
a huge
vegetable,
amount
right.
in quinoa and lentils
Right,
and
and
dark
grains.
leafy greens and beans and nuts. There's a lot of ways that you can get your protein that I would never consider an issue with giving up meat. But a lot of people make the mistake of going vegan and eating lots of seitan and lots of tofurkey and fake meats and fake cheeses, and there's a lot of candy bars out there that happen to be vegan. There's a lot of cookies and snacks that just happen to be vegan. If you have a diet based on that stuff, you're not going to feel good. You're not going to be the best. You're not going to be in your optimal health. So it's really about eating the real foods and staying away from any of those packaged
If
things.
Debbie and I went to lunch today
Yeah.
in town, where would be a place that we can go and have a really amazing vegan meal? Like, give a couple of your favorites.
A couple of my favorites?
Give up your
okay,
favorites.
in the vegan world, I love Sun Cafe on Ventura.
Cafe is good.
It's fantastic. My friend Ron's restaurant. I love that
Where's
place. It's right in Studio City on Ventura.
Cool.
It's really lovely.
Okay.
They do good cooked vegan and raw vegan stuff there. I really like Gracias Madre. I really like Crossroads, what Tal Ronan is doing.
Those are two of my favorites. We
Yeah?
actually had a board meeting last night at Gracias Madre.
There you go. I love it. I was just there last week
amazing.
too.
And Crossroads is one of my favorites for dinner.
They do an amazing brunch. Have you been
Do
to
they?
the brunch? Oh, you've got to go
No.
for a Sunday brunch.
And you
Yeah.
know what? And I'm not a vegan. And I go to these places because this is a great thing to do for people who are not vegan. It's great to just do this a couple times a week.
Right.
It's just
And
good
it's just
food.
great to just feel healthy, and it's a matter of just, again, what you're saying, eat as much local, healthy, natural, real food as possible.
Yeah.
And you just feel better. You just
Absolutely.
feel better. And you know what? It's kind of hard to be a vegan. If you're making that choice, there's ways to do it if you're not in that mindset where you could eat vegetarian more and not strictly vegan. You can make make these choices of doing a couple of days a week.
Yeah.
One day a week. That's what Meatless Monday is about.
Absolutely, and we can talk about that. I'm a big advocate of Meatless Monday, but I will mention 2 others that are worth noting that are non-vegan restaurants that have a lot of vegan options and are very vegan friendly. That would be Mud Hen Tavern, which is Susan Vinegar and Sasha's restaurant, which is excellent, excellent food, and Scarpetta. For all those Italians out there that think you can't get real Italian food, that's
the
Scott
Montage.
Conant's restaurant.
They're both
and
fantastic.
It's delicious, and
Yes.
they will bring you a separate vegan menu if you ask
Yeah,
for it.
and Border Grill also is as
Border
well.
Grill is great.
Susan's other restaurant with Mary Sue, they do incredible amount of vegan options there. So
Yeah. Yeah.
And speaking
really
of,
good.
okay, favorite restaurants, what's your favorite spring recipe? Now that spring is sprung and it's going to be 90 degrees here today.
Right, I know.
Yeah.
I have
Which
to
is
go to
awesome.
New York this weekend, and it's going to be like 25. I'm like, how is it spring? I love spring. All of the vegetables come out, but I'm prepping for a trip to Thailand. So I've been doing a lot of Thai food recently,
Really?
and combining that with spring. I just did a Thai salad this past week with papaya and carrots and a peanut coconut dressing. And you can find
put
that recipe
on the
my
website.
It's
Yes,
already on
we
the
want it on
website.
this website.
Okay, leslieDurso.com, or I'll give you
Green
guys
is
the
good.
recipe, and
And you know what?
you guys
we'll
can
put
post
it on our website.
That'd be
and
great.
our website because
Yeah.
we love that, and I'm a secret chef, so I
Oh,
would love
great.
to.
Debbie, give a shout out for your website.
It's ema-online.org, and we are always putting vegan and vegetarian recipes on our website.
Well, I've got over
So-
1,000 on my website. You're welcome to them.
Well, we should totally get it together because we also have our celebrities tweet them out. So
New partnership.
All right, so I have to ask before we wrap today. I see these beautiful stuffed animals in front of us. talk a little bit about your passion for stuffed animals. How did this happen?
Yeah, so I mean, this was kind of a random story. Like I said, I used to be a model, and part of that was I used to be fit model for this factory in Texas, and I became good friends with the owner. And he's also very big into the environment and saving the environment and bringing jobs back to the U.S. And we heard this story about what happens to clothing when you donate it. Because everybody thinks you donate your clothes to Salvation Army, Goodwill, any of these charities, that it's going to end up in a store somewhere. Well, the truth of that is only about 2% of the clothing donated ends up in a store. A lot of it is sold overseas to third world countries, which is really demolishing their local economies. Like in Africa, it's actually a big problem. And then the rest of it, they just throw in a landfill, which is 12 million pounds of fabric a year end up in landfills. That's just in the US alone. It's a lot. So we were able to intercept some of that fabric, and we've saved over 2,000 pounds of fabric already. And we've created these guys. These are little shirties, because they're made out of shirts.
Wow.
And so each one is 100% different because they're all made out of different fabrics. We get the fabric, we triple wash it and sanitize it in our commercial machines, and we do these whales.
What are they stuffed with?
They're stuffed with recycled polyfel. So the only new things that we're buying for this project is the threading, which is usually left over from projects, so we're not technically buying new. And the organic soy ink for the eyes is t-shirt dye, which we had to buy. Because originally I wanted to use the buttons from all the shirts as the eyes, and then I found out that that's a choking hazard for kids. So we had to take those off and paint the eyes on. And then we have a denim one here as well, and the denim line is made from scraps of denim from their denim factory. They make high-end denim, and you know, when you cut out a pattern, there's all sorts of pieces left, and instead of throwing those away, we're salvaging them and making these animals.
And where can our listeners and viewers buy these?
You can buy them online right now at lesliedurso.com/shop, and you'll soon be able to find them in stores near you. We just launched a week ago, and they're already doing amazing. We've already got them in the hands of celebrities that have bought them on their own and are already tweeting about them, which is super nice. But yeah, I love this project. I'm really hoping that we can make a dent in that 12 million pounds of fabric going to the landfill every year. It's just a great cause. And a portion of every whale that's sold is going to beach cleanups in Southern California, which you all know if you spend time on the beach.
Leslie, Debbie and I are going to ask you a favor. We're going to ask you, when you have that big announcement about hopefully your new TV show to make, you're going to come back on with Debbie and I. You're going to make the announcement, and you're going to bring some of your favorite recipes so we could literally eat on set next time.
I
mean, that's what we have to do.
Oh, I would love that. I would love to do that.
So for our listeners and viewers to find you, please tell them where to go to find you.
LeslieDurso.com, LESLIEDURSO. You can see where all my appearances and classes are going to be the next few months. I always load it up a few months in advance. I'll be at green festivals. I'll be at the Seed in New York. I'll be all at Whole Foods near you. I'll be all over the place.
That's awesome.
Catch me if you can.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for this other edition of Green is Good. Thank you for joining Debbie Levin and I for the Green is Good Goes Hollywood with Debbie Levin today. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on our next episode.